and something you may have heard about. It's called the Digital Dollar Project. Chris Giancarlo, former CFTC chair and someone who is referred to occasionally as the crypto dad, joins us now to tell us more about this project. But also Dan Roberts is here because he very closely follows crypto. But very quickly, what is the Digital Dollar Foundation and the project that's underway?
Yeah, it's a nonprofit initiative to explore the virtues and the challenges of a U.S. central bank digital currency.
And Chris, Dan Roberts here. Tell us about how this is in some ways a response to what is happening with China. We remember that when Facebook announced its Libra project, Mark Zuckerberg, in many ways, when he was speaking to lawmakers, was using the threat and the fear of China doing something similar to try and encourage lawmakers to basically leave Libra alone, because if we don't allow Libra and other similar projects to innovate, then China will beat us in this area. Tell us a little bit about the reports of a China coin.
Well, so what I would say there is it's as much influenced by China as it is by Libra, as it is by Bitcoin, and as it is by COVID. I left after 5 years serving at the US CFTC. I came away with some observations about the global state of our financial markets. One is that just like so much of our physical infrastructure, our bridges and our tunnels and our airports, a lot of our financial market infrastructure is similarly aged and in some cases obsolete. And the second observation is we're truly seeing a new wave of the internet, an internet of the things of value. And that new wave is going to put serious pressure on these antiquated financial systems. And it's really that led me to being a proponent for exploration of a US CBDC. Absolutely, others are doing it around the world. It's not just China. We know that over 50 central banks are experimenting with this. The United States has been a leader in so many phases of technology. Our feeling is it needs to be a leader in this phase as well.
And then, Chris, while we have you here today, just recently you made some comments about XRP, once known as Ripple, of course, not being, in your view, a security. And it was interesting, that was picked up in a lot of places. And then some people kind of pointed out, well, Chris is no longer with the agency, former CFTC. So I guess I'd ask how closely you're in touch with the current regulators and whether we should take your view as the official regulatory view. And then also some people pointing out that, you're working in some ways as a consultant with Ripple, the company behind XRP. So some people kind of take your declaration on XRP with a grain of salt. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I am not an official, and so I am not speaking in an official capacity. Ultimately, it'll be the courts that will determine this. I am now a practicing lawyer. I'm with the firm of Wilkie Farr and Gallagher. Ripple is a client of the firm. What we did in a scholarly piece in a law review was to analyze Ripple against the well-known Howey test, which is the Supreme Court's determination of what is a security, and based upon a legal analysis, concluded that it's not. Now, you'll note in that piece, it's a legal piece. It's not a advocacy piece. It's not a policy piece. It's a straight legal analysis.
Chris, it's Julie here.
Yeah, Julie.
We've been sort of asking sort of thorny specific questions. I want to take a step back and ask a bigger picture question, which is, as someone who has followed cryptocurrencies for several years now, not with the type of precision that Dan has, but there has been this sort of, by the huge proponents of it, this promise that it was going to really, if not take over, gain a little bit more momentum than it has seemed to. Where do you think we are in the sort of life cycle? And are we going to get to a point where it's much more widely used, invested in, et cetera?
Well, Julie, thank you for that, because I really do believe the big picture is what is important here. And that is, we truly are approaching a second wave of the internet. The first wave was the internet of information that created, at first things like Wikipedia, but ultimately social media and online commerce. This next wave of the internet is going to take things of value and put them into a digitized, in some case, tokenized form. And in my role at the CFTC, we oversaw the world's derivatives on commodity markets, the world's major commodities: corn, wheat, cotton, precious metals, industrial metals, energy. All the derivative markets are where they're priced. And here's the point, they're priced in dollars. As all those commodities move to a digitized, tokenized form, I believe it's critically important for the dollar to similarly adopt a digitized tokenized and ultimately programmable form, if those commodities are going to remain priced in dollars and they become digitized, it's critically important that the dollar follow that same trajectory.
Chris, what's the timeline for that, though? I mean, are we realistically seeing that in our lifetimes? If you're over 45 years old, is this our future?
I believe it is. I believe it is. We are going into a digital future. The future of the 21st century is going to be digital. And yet, so much of our financial system is accounts-based. And accounts-based go back to medieval Venice, when it was hard to travel around with large quantities of fiat currency, and they were lodged onto an account. And that's the basis for our system today. But as we go to a digital form, tokenization, fiat once again becomes possible to move around in mass quantities in a digital form. And so we need to think about how do we make our fiat form digital as well.
Chris Giancarlo, former CFTC chair, we appreciate your being here, and I'll get my abacus out and I will throw it away.
Hey investors, Zach Guzman here. Are you interested in learning more about the markets and getting the latest financial news? Well, then click right here to subscribe to our Yahoo Finance YouTube channel. Get the latest up-to-the-minute market analysis, big interviews in the world of finance, and information on how to manage your money every day wherever you are.